Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's big Friday 14-game slate. And overall, I mean, we've kind of had a tough time breaking this one down. I mean, there are some offensive options, but pitching, I mean, not favorable outside of Chris Sale tonight.
Yeah, I'd say it's Chris Sale and a bunch of slosh, which is, at the end of a slushy when you just got the ice after you sucked all the good stuff out of it. That's what we got tonight after Chris Sale. I mean, obviously I'm okay with Rich Hill and Jeff Samardzija, but other than that, we're looking at some ice, non-flavored slushy.
Yeah, definitely. It's not pretty, but looking at hitters here and looking at catcher, Buster Posey, obviously against Shelby Miller, who has struggled this season, doesn't look great. If you're paying down, I think Posey's the clear-cut number one option.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's the clear-cut number one option, and especially if you're paying down for one of those sloshy pitchers, he's one of the main guys you can look at this position if you have a little extra cap.
Definitely. I mean, it's kind of a tough call because you do have Lucroy hitting fourth against Friedrich there.
Mm-hmm.
Friedrich, 407 will be allowed. Obviously, he's a Coors pitcher for most of his career. Definitely, certainly unplayable against this Brewers team because we'll be looking to target quite a few options of theirs.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm with you. I like that a lot. And again, it didn't quite work out yesterday, but I think Brewers bats are again in play today.
Yeah, I'll definitely be heading back to the well.
Mm-hmm.
One guy you said, I mean, you were talking about before the show, JT Realmuto against the lefty Gio Gonzalez. At that price tag, you're not really scared off of Gio with how strong he's been against left-handers.
Right. Yeah. Slightly tough matchup for Realmuto, but I'm okay with it at the price if you're going with a contrarian Marlins stack or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think Yan Gomes is another one. Obviously, this Indians team in a pretty favorable spot against Ricky Nolasco. Since 2014, 351 WOBA allowed. I mean, I think Gomes is probably about where I cap it off. I mean, unless you see anyone cheaper.
So Matt Wieters is kind of intriguing. If I know they've been switching him in and out and the lineup's not currently out yet, but if he is in, I think he's a reasonable priced player tonight. I'm not too concerned about Verlander. I don't think he's necessarily prime Verlander or anything like that anymore. So I'm not too afraid of him. And if you want to get a cheap salary in a Baltimore stack, I think he's a good way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good call. His price tag and should be back in the lineup after sitting out last night. So looking at first base and a guy who I'd be definitely looking at, but I think weather is kind of concerning in Boston. That might have a good chance of being a rain out. Ortiz, obviously 5,200, pricey, but the way he's been swinging the bat and the way this Boston team is, I mean, it's a very hard to fade him, but I think the weather's going to force us to do that anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, but I mean, top option wise, I mean, you can look at, I like Brandon Belt. I think 4,600, the way he's been swinging the bat in Chase Field, enhances power and runs from the left side. I think he's one of my favorite options tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. And he's up there with a lot of big names, but I think he fits in for tonight with that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a good swerve off of Duda. Obviously, Duda getting the Coors bump at 4,600. He's one of the cheaper Mets options in comparison to those. So I don't mind Duda as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. In terms of this Toronto-Texas game, I think I'm pretty intrigued by that. So Encarnacion, and I think a little ways down, Prince Fielder. I think I'm intrigued by both of those guys today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a tough group to kind of choose and narrow out because Encarnacion and Duda, I mean, both in great spots. Same with Belt. I mean, all at a similar price tag. It's not like one jumps off the map where it kind of forces you with two. I mean, you got three guys in really great spots right there to do some damage.
Right. And again, I think for tournaments, that's a nice thing for tournaments to sort of shift that around and maybe if you're making 10 lineups, split 3, 3, and 3 or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I expect Belt to probably be the lower owned out of those three. Cheaper options down there. Miguel Cabrera, 4,200 against Chris Tillman just seems like an absolute steal. I mean, Cabrera's starting to hit the ball well over 300 the last 10 games. 4,200 in Baltimore. I mean, cash game wise. I just think that could be the way I go just to save a couple $100.
Yeah, I like that call. That's a pretty reasonable price for him.
Yeah, I mean with Tillman and in that ballpark, I'm just kind of baffled by it, but overall, I think that's an
Again,
elite play.
another Brewers bat at 3,900. Chris Carter against Friedrich. I think that's a pretty reasonable place to set up camp.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, cheaper guys. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure you need to go cheaper than guys like Carter and Chris and Miguel Cabrera there.
Yeah, not really. I don't. There's not much in terms of value down there.
No, definitely not. Second base here, you got Robinson Cano, Daniel Murphy, who kind of stand out to me tonight. Daniel Murphy, absolutely on fire. 5K price tags for second baseman's a little bit steep for me, though. I think that's my one downside with really all three of those top big name guys there.
Yeah, I like it though. I think if you're gonna go with something Mets related, I think, or yeah, Nationals related. Sorry, rewind. I think he's an interesting move to go against the Marlins tonight.
Do you think he's a solid one-off, or are you just kind of pairing him in stacks?
I think you kind of go with him and Harper. If you're gonna do it. Otherwise, probably not a stack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean 5K, it's steep, but the way Murphy's been swinging the bat, I mean, he can justify that price tag. One other guy that kind of up in that top tier, Jason Kipnis, 4,500 against Nolasco. Nolasco since 2014, 377 WOBA allowed, 1.21 home run per 9. You got like an Indian stack here, and I think Kipnis at that price is just a little bit cheaper. You can save a couple $100 in a great spot there in Cleveland.
Yeah, Nolasco's been struggling. He's given up 5 earned run in each of the last 2 outings and 4 in the third one there. So he's been really struggling this year. I think Cleveland is an interesting cheap way to get a stack in for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What about Gene Segura? I mean, do we fade him? I mean, the way he's been playing 3,700. I mean, obviously he's coming off a Coors game, but another 3-hit night, stolen base. I mean, against Johnny Cueto. I mean, he's just crushing and facing Samardzija, who's looked better of late, but still, I mean, leading off, it's hard to fade him at that price tag.
Yeah, I like the Diamondbacks even before they kind of hit that Coors series. I think they bring intriguing value, kind of like the Brewers of late as well. But Samardzija isn't someone I'm necessarily targeting on this slate, but I'm okay with Segura at that price.
Mm-hmm. I think another Brewer bat, Aaron Hill, 3,400 against Friedrich. I mean, I'm expecting Milwaukee to put up some big runs in that ballpark tonight, and if they don't, it's going to be a letdown.
Yeah,
it'll be a big letdown. But
2 days in a row, yeah, that'd be tough.
But yeah, I mean, are you coming for Matt Friedrich? Is he your guy? No. Then I'm not getting the buzz meter for.
There's a little hesitation there, so we don't need to bring out the war drum today. There's not a big enough sample size for me to be purely confident. Because he's really just a reliever. So yeah,
and his Coors numbers are, inflated.
Right.
So yeah, but I think Hill's about where I'm leaning. I can't see anyone cheap. I mean, if you want to head back to the Chase Utley well for a cheaper, obviously he's leaning off. I don't mind that either.
Yeah.
So third base here, Josh Donaldson, super expensive, more expensive than Arenado, but I think he's a far better play than Arenado is at 5,400. Going up against a lefty in Texas, we know what Donaldson does against left-handers. I think he's just the clear-cut top play.
Yeah, I'm on Donaldson tonight. And again, I love that whole Toronto stack. But yeah, he definitely separates himself today.
Yeah, and we're kind of discussing. I mean, Arenado. We're looking at this. I mean, I'm looking at this Coors game kind of in GPP only. It's just because one, I'm paying up for Chris Sale. I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to fit in an Arenado or a Blackman from this Colorado team against Harvey.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Harvey's necessarily someone to target, but in Coors, I mean, you got to give them their due, so the price makes sense. But yeah, overall, not something I'm targeting 100% in cash or tournaments or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. And David Wright, I think, kind of an interesting play tonight. I'm not quite sure his ownership and what it's going to be just because he struggled this season. But you look at Gray, I mean, Gray has been great against righties, especially inside of Coors, 364 Woba allowed, 1.13 homers per nine. Wright, kind of a better, cheaper option. I mean, almost 1,000 cheaper than Donaldson there. I think he's certainly in play tonight. He's one of the Mets that's kind of that price considered matchup that I don't mind.
Right. Yeah. He's one of the few guys, and then I mean a few guys in the rest of that lineup, but not really. So I'm kind of looking at him as a standalone guy tonight.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Longoria, Carpenter, Seager, anyone kind of interested there? I mean, I kind of like Beltre against Dickey there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Beltre against Dickey, and then Castellanos against Tillman. I'm okay with as well.
Yeah, definitely. Those are both guys I'm on. Um, Once again, I mean, if the Sox were going to play Travis Shaw at 3,700, seems like a steal to me. Hitting over 300. I mean, that whole 1 through 9, that whole lineup is just absolutely crushing right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and once again, you got Aaron Hill down here at 3,400 to take a look at.
Yep.
So, shortstop here, and you have your Manny Machado eligibility still, so you got to like that at 5,100.
Same story as third base, basically. Machado and the Colorado bat. But I don't know. That's a lot, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the one thing you got to look at, it's like I feel like I have Sale already plugged into my lamps, so it's like I gotta, you can't go to the Gucci store, all right, when you've already hit Louis Vuitton. You know what I mean? Like you gotta keep going into the mall. You got to go down to Old Navy for these bats.
Ew. Or maybe Marshalls. We'll go to Marshalls and
yeah, we got to go to
Yeah,
Marshalls for some of these bats.
we can get Jonathan Villar for half off or something like that. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's tough to pay up for him unless you're going with a core stack. I wouldn't play them alone, honestly. They're just too expensive to risk having one guy hit a home run and then it's at 5K, and it's like if anyone else on this list hits a home run, they're matching it. So
yeah, you can get that production for cheaper.
Yeah, you want that multiplier of having them together. But as I mentioned, Jonathan Villar at 4,200 is intriguing to me.
Yeah, definitely. And same with Francisco Lindor, 4,100, continue that Indians run there. So they kind of put those top guys out of play for me. I mean, going down cheap, Zach Kozar at 3,300. I think he's my dollar for dollar favorite play of the night at shortstop there.
Yeah, his price has slowly been going down, and I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, no, I am too. I mean, Hellickson, 353 Woba allowed to righties since 2014 there. And the way Kozar's swinging the bat this season, leading off, I'm all over him at that price tag. So, anyone else you like? Oh, he's gone. He'll bounce back. Outfielder here, obviously Cespedes 5,600, very expensive. Oh, here you are.
Hey, sorry, I had to go to the ladies' room.
We're moving on to outfielders, and
yeah,
there's some pricey ones. I love you on Cespedes. I could see him having a monster game tonight. 5,600, definitely only a tournament play for me.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're paying completely down, it's your SP2. Maybe that's it. I think Cespedes would be my priority number one. Maybe him and Conforto.
Yeah, this is okay.
It's daunting, man.
So the thing you have to ask yourself is, do you want to play Wright and Cespedes together? And if so, how are you going to figure out the rest of your roster? Because that's some big salaries going off the right away for guys who haven't been worth it this entire season. So it's a big risk. It could pay off. It might not be totally a high owned stack, but I don't know if it's worth it. To be honest, I'm probably not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the one thing I guess, I'm just, looking out here, you pop in Sale and Guerra there, and Cespedes, 3,900 left over for each position. Not too shabby. I mean, if you work him in, obviously you can come with a complete balance lineup if you take Cespedes out and maybe bump up that pitcher. But something to consider.
Definitely.
Ryan Braun, if I'm paying up 4,800, I think he's my guy that I like. One, he's cheaper than all those other options like Stanton and Harper. I mean, obviously Harton's in a great spot. Same with Trout. But Braun just a little bit cheaper at home against the lefties. Very intriguing.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
So keep going down. I mean, I'm not necessarily on Blackman, Carlos Gonzalez at those prices against Harvey.
Careful with Springer with that game maybe getting delayed or postponed. Yeah. What do we think about Adam Eaton versus Severino?
I like the ballpark there. I don't necessarily mind it. It's tough for me to get behind him just because Bautista and Conforto are right in that area. I think that's my only thing. Like my eyes just go to Conforto because he's 4,200 in Coors, and Bautista against the lefty in Texas.
Right.
But I mean, I like Adam Eaton. I mean, he's a consistent producer. That's something you like about him. I think he's a great cash game guy.
And Michael Saunders, they kind of moved him down in the lineup, but I still think he's a pretty solid option at 3,900 for that Toronto stack.
Yeah, definitely. I like JD Martinez, 3,900 as well, coming off a very strong game. Obviously, Chris Tillman, who's pitched well this year, but I still think this game's going to be a hotbed for offense. If you want to get really cheap, I mean, you want to see where Kevin Pillar hits in the lineup. He'd be a guy who kind of fits into that stack. It just depends on where you're kind of moving it or what kind of lineup they put out tonight.
I actually like the mid to like the 3,400 range. Matt Holliday, Chris Davis, Nomar Mazara, and Randall Grichuk. I think all those guys are decent values at their prices, and the matchups don't necessarily scare me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I think it's a good spot. And Alex Gordon going up against T-Ryan at 3,300 something. I'm definitely intrigued in.
So I think there actually is some value in the outfield tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, those guys are about where I'm at. I don't see much lower. I mean, Puig continues to still hit pretty low, but obviously his struggles. I mean, eventually he's going to break out. It's kind of like the Adam Jones situation on FanDuel. I mean, he just kept dropping, and I mean, eventually he's going to keep going.
Right. Yeah. So. That was fun, though. That was a fun 2 days.
Yeah. And then last night he just puts up his average RBI single.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
That's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.